Good morning, everyone. This is Bremster, and this is actually the second time I'm recording this puzzle. This is Here and There by Joseph Nehme. Um, Tonight, or overnight, we have been suffering some horrible windstorms here in Melbourne, Australia, and I have been unable to sleep. So I actually got up a couple of hours ago to record a video on this one, and I was about 80% of the way through the puzzle when we lost power and I completely lost the video. So I actually know a bit about this puzzle. I don't know how it ends, but I do know how it starts. But as I've said on my channel several times, I feel it's more about the puzzles than it is about me, or about me demonstrating to you how good a solver I am, because I'm really not that great a solver. What I'm trying to do is show you really cool puzzles. And I thought this was a pretty cool puzzle. So now that I've got power back and everything, I'm here to show you a cool puzzle. So I do know how this works, so this is not going to be a blind solve like the last one was, but I don't have that video anymore. I tried to see what I could salvage from that, and it was absolutely nothing. The video file was just corrupt. So yay, OBS. Anyway, so this is Here and There by Joseph Nehme. I will provide links to both solving links and links to this puzzles page on Logic Masters Germany below, where you can solve it, and I will show you how this one works. So this normal Sudoku rules apply. In every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. Normal arrow rules apply. So the digits that go onto the arrows must, you sum them up and you put them into the circle at the head of the arrow. There are also these little stubby arrows, which means whatever goes into the head of the arrow will also go into that cell. So these cells will be mirrors of each other. Normal little killer rules apply, which means that along these diagonals, if you were to sum all of those cells together, you would get 44. And digits may repeat along this if allowed by other rules, unlike killer cages. And the grey squares must be even, and the grey circles must be odd. So let's give this a shot. Now, last time I spent some time, a couple of minutes hunting before I found it, but I actually know this now, and I'm not going to be disingenuous. I'm going to show you what I found. So if we look at this diagonal plus this diagonal on the little killer, and we look at those together, what we find is they must sum to 99. But if we look at those arrowheads and consider what they would be if they were their maximum, which is 30, 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 is 30, and we realize that those reflect onto all of those cells, what we would end up with is blue plus purple equals 60. But we know that all of the yellow must equal 94. So that these yellow cells without extra colors have to equal 34. But that is two cells in two boxes. 34 divided by 2 is 17. So each of these must be 17. And the only way to make 17 is with a 7-8 pair. Sorry, 8-9 pair. If we then remove the colouring, we can see that there's an even and an odd underneath it. So that must be an 8, and that must be a 9, that must be a 9, and that must be an 8. We also know that these must be 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, we can now look at the same thing, but along these indicated diagonals, because what we now have is those cells, but we know that all of these must add, the ones that I mark in blue, must add to 30, but the yellows must add to 36. So these must add to 6, and therefore, because they're in two boxes, they must be 1s and 2s. I get rid of all the highlighting, and we can see that that must be the 2, that must be the 1, that must be the 1, and that must be the 2. And we get the first digits placed into the grid. Now, these must be 6, 7, 8, 9. These must be 6, 7, 8, 9. But if this was to be a 6 or a 7, we would I actually did this last time, and then I realized partway along I may have made a mistake with duplicates. If this is a 6, can I make that work? Because could I do... Yeah, I don't think I could make this work if it was a 6, because I would need to put a 1 or a 2 into here, because the minimum I can put into that cell is into those cells is 3 and 4, which immediately means this has to be plus something. This can't be a 6 or a 7, and the minimum I can put into there is 3 and 4, which means this can't be a 6 or a 7. Now, these don't have to be 3 and 4, but they're the minimums I can put in, which immediately means these can't be 6 or 7. These could be higher. These could be up to 3, 4, or 3, 5. They can't be 4, 5. So there must be a 3 in those cells, and they are 3, 4, or 5. But it does mean that these can't be 8 or 9. These have to be 6 or 7, and these have to be 8 or 9. And that's what I got to. I just did it in a slightly incorrect way by assuming that these had to be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 4. And that is not the truth, because these arrows can actually have duplicates. And I realized that at this point, but not when I first did the 6, 7 elimination. But I can do it by stating that the minimum I can put on these are 3, 4, which means that these can't be 6 or 7. Same deduction in a better way. Now, the next thing I found was, and this was actually quite tricky, and I need to try and figure out how I did it again. And I actually need to pause because something is going on. Okay, I'm back. What I need to check now is these diagonals and what they can be. So, and I think this is the one I want to look at first. So what I want to look at is what happens if I put a 9 onto this on this diagonal. Because what I would end up with is 4 times 9 would give me already, I would have 36 on this 44 diagonal. And those cells would have to sum to 8. And with this being a minimum of 6, it would mean those 3 cells would have to sum to 2, and that's not going to work. So I cannot put a 9 onto those, and they need to be 8, which means these are 9. So now I know that these 4 cells sum to 34, and these need to sum to 10. Now, if this was a 7, these would all have to be 1. Which may be possible. I've actually forgotten a fair bit of my previous solve because of the what the hell is going on panic and just immediately forgetting everything that I was doing when the lights went out and everything went kablooey. I'm not sure that I can't go 1, 1, 5 here to get to the 7 and then put a 1 here. Oh no, I can't go 1, 1, 5 because there's a 1 there. So this is a minimum of 2. This is a minimum of 1. This is a minimum of 1. So if I go 2, 1, 1, so remember we've already got 34. 2, 1, 1 is 4, so this has to be the 6 because I can only get 10 in all of those cells. So this has to be the 2, this has to be a 1, this has to be a 1, this has to be a 6, this has to be a 6, this has to be a 7, this has to be a 7, and I've got the makeup of these arrows. Now this is a 1, this can't be a 1, and this can't be a 1, so I need to get 6 in those without using a 1. I could use 2, 4, or I could use 3, 3 to get to the 6. Now this is an 8, which means if I put a 5, 3 on this, I've already blown the total. So this must be 3, 4, and this must be a 1. And this is a 9. Now, if this is 3, 4, this is a 2, and if this is 3, 5, this is... Sorry, if this is a 3, 4, this is a 2, and if this is 3, 5, this is a 1. And this can't be a 2, so this is a 1, and this must now be a 3, 5. but I'm not yet sure of the order. This is a 6, so this becomes a 3, this becomes a 5, this becomes a 3, this becomes a 4. I've now got 5 on this, so this becomes a 2. The 4 looks over, making this a 3 and this a 4. And actually, that's a much easier way than I did last time. So I'm still talking about, I'm sorry. I think everyone who's watching this has been through a situation where you've been doing something and you've lost power or something like that has happened, and you're aware of the thing that it does in your head, and it just throws you out, and you're always thinking about what was I doing and I'm in that state right now, but I still wanted to present the puzzle. Please forgive me. So now I've done all of the arrows, I've done all the little killers. This is now just down to Sudoku because all of the little killer clues are done. All of the arrows are done. So this is now just a Sudoku puzzle. Oh, yay. Okay, so what can we do? I've got 1, 1. 1 can't go in any of those, so that becomes a 1. 1, 1, that means that is a 1, which means that is a 1. 2, 2, 2 is in one of those. 2 is in one of those two. 2, 2, 2 is right there. 2, 2, 2 is in one of those two. 2 is in one of those, and 2 is in one of those. 2's not very fruitful at the moment. 3 is in one of those two. 3, 3. 3 is in one of those two at the top, which puts 3 in one of those. 4 is in one of those two, which puts 4 right there. 4 is in one of those two. But 4 is in one of those two because that 4 knocks that out and that knocks that out. So that's not a 4. That's a 4, which puts 4 in one of those three. 6 is in one of those two. I'm not seeing a lot of 5s, so I kind of skipped over them. 6 is in one of those two. 6 can't be in those, so 6 is right there. This becomes 5 and 7, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an 8, 9 pair, and that 9 resolves it. That's the 8, and that's the 9. So 9 is now right there. And this is about where I was up to, I think, when I lost power last time. So I should stop talking about it now. This now has to be a 6. So this is also, from what I can see, 5 or 7. So I need to put a 7 right there, and there'll be a 5 in one of those two. So this is actually a known pair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 and 9, so that's 5 and that's 9. 3, 4, 8. There's no 8 there. I am not sure where I am looking. I definitely don't remember any of this. Oh, that's interesting. So 3 is in one of those and 3 is in one of those. So that means 3 has to be in one of those two. And 5 is in one of those two. So I've kind of got that weird rectangle pattern happening here. So 4 is in one of those two, 5 is in one of those two, 3 is in one of those two, and 2 is in one of those two. 2, 3, 5, 6. So that's 2 or 6. I'm really not sure where I'm looking. 6, 7, 8 is in one of those two. I'm really not. Oh, this is 3, 4, 5 triple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 9, which puts 9 in one of those two. So that's a 9. I think that's all the 9s now. 2, 5, 6, 7. So that's a 6 because there's 2, 5, and 7. So these are 2, 5, and 7. 6, 6. That's a 6. So that's a 2. That's a 3. That's a 5. That's a 4. That's a 2. There's no 3 there. So these are 4, 6, and 8. That's not 8. That's not 4. That was a few 6s I put in. So I've got 6s there. 6s in those two and 6s in those two. Two is in right there because that 2 knocks out that and that 2 knocks out that. So that's a 2. So there's no 2 there, which puts 2 there, which puts 3 there, and this becomes 5 or 7. That's not seen by anything, but this must also be 5 or 7. And this is 3, 5, or 7. Okay. Oh, hang on. There's a 4. So that's a 3. That's not a 3. This is 4, 8 now. I'm not sure where I should be looking. 3, 5, 7, 8. So 8 is in one of those two. So that's 8 right there because it can't be up there because of that 8 and it can't be there because of that 8. So this is 3, 5, or 7. I'm getting 5s and 7s all over the place. And I'm hoping there'll be something to break that open. So this is 3, 5, 6, 7. So this is 6 or 7. This is 5, 6, or 7. It's not 6, that's another 5, 7. So this is 4 and 8 across here. And that can't be an 8. So that's a 4, that's an 8. That is not an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6, 7 pair. Oh, come on. This column. 1, 2, 3. That's a 4? That's a 4. So that's an 8. That's a 4. That's a 6. That's an 8. That's a 7. That's a 6. That's a 7. That's a 5. That's a 7. That's a 5. That is not a 5 or a 7. That's a 3. That's a 6. There is no 3 there. So that's a 3. That 7 makes that a 5. And that a 7. That a 5. That a 7. That a 5. That a 7. And these, I need to put a 3 and a 5. And that completes Here and There by Joseph Nehme. I definitely did that a lot faster that time because I had already found the break in on the previous attempt. I hope you gave the puzzle a try. As I said, this is not about me. It's much more about the puzzles. And yeah, I'm sorry it came out the way it did. I apologize to Joseph in particular. I hope you gave the puzzle a try because I thought that was a very interesting little puzzle, and it did showcase an interesting way of using the arrows and the little killers in combination. The way you had to sort of look at the total of both of the little killers and then realize if you use the maximal values on the arrows, it actually forced those two. I thought that was very clever. I don't think it's set, but it kind of is sort of using the little killers in a very nice way. And as I've been saying for a couple of videos, I've been trying to sort of reinforce foundational skills, and I thought this did that very well. So I hope you gave that a try. I thought it was a very nice little puzzle, and I hope to see you back. Please provide feedback and comments about whether you think what I'm doing is good or not. And if you've got any suggestions, I look forward to hearing them. Thank you very much, and good luck with your solving.